Most men enter relationships wearing blindfolds, convinced they know the rules of the game. They believe love is an exchange, give loyalty, get loyalty. Be open, honest, vulnerable, and she'll appreciate it. But that belief system is exactly what sets them up to fail, because women don't fall for effort. They fall for emotion. Not the kind you express with words, but the kind they feel in their nervous system when they're around you. That's the silent truth nobody teaches men. You could be the most attentive boyfriend, the best listener, the guy who remembers her coffee order and sends her goodnight texts. But none of that matters if the emotional connection fades. And it fades faster than you think, because her emotional reality isn't fixed. It's fluid. That's the trap. You're playing a logical game, and she's responding to an emotional current. When that current weakens, she doesn't explain why she's different. She just pulls away. You think something must have gone wrong. Maybe you missed a signal. Maybe you weren't enough. But that's not it. What really happened is that she stopped feeling something around you. And that feeling, that unspoken spark, that's what. Women stay loyal to not the checklist of things you did right. That's why you see so many men confused after doing everything right. They confuse consistency with security. But to a woman, consistency without emotional charge is just routine. And routine doesn't spark desire. It kills it. So while you were showing up with love in your hands, she was scanning for a feeling. And when that feeling faded, she left. Not because you failed, but because you misunderstood the nature of attraction. Until you learn that emotion, not logic, governs her loyalty. You'll keep showing up with everything she should want and getting played by what she actually responds to. You could give her everything: a future, security, consistency, but if the emotion isn't there, none of it matters. That's the brutal truth. Women are wired for emotion, not exchange. They're not sitting down with a checklist of your qualities, weighing pros and cons like they're buying a car. They're feeling, responding, reacting, moment to moment. That's why one day she can be obsessed, texting you constantly, talking about the future, and the next day she's cold, distant, uninterested. You think something happened. You retrace your steps. Try to pinpoint the moment she switched. But there was no specific moment. It was the energy. The emotional gravity shifted. You didn't notice it because you were busy focusing on your actions, not your presence. Most men lose the game without even realizing it's being played. You think showing up, being stable, being a good guy is enough? But to her, those things are expected, not exciting. When your energy becomes too familiar, too soft, too predictable, the emotional current dies. And when the emotional current dies, so does her interest. That's why she starts pulling away. Not because of something you did wrong, but because you stopped making her feel. Maybe you stopped challenging her. Maybe you stopped leading. Maybe your masculine edge dulled, and she no longer feels your gravity. The moment you lose that edge, the moment your presence stops stirring her emotionally, she starts drifting. Not logically, emotionally. And the truth is, she probably doesn't even fully understand it herself. She just knows something's changed. When she can't feel you anymore, she leaves. That's the game, the silent test. And until you start paying attention to her emotional state over her words, you'll keep thinking you're doing everything right while she quietly checks out. When things get rocky, most men panic. She pulls back, and they chase. She tests them, and they try to explain themselves. She creates chaos, and they rush to fix it. But that instinct to fix, to explain, to calm her down, is what kills attraction even faster. Because what she's really looking for in those moments isn't reassurance, it's strength. She doesn't want you to collapse into her emotional chaos. She wants to feel that you can hold it, that you can hold her. This is where most men fail. They treat every emotional spike as a problem to solve, when in reality it's a test of your masculine center. She's subconsciously asking, can I lose myself and still feel safe around you? If you answer with panic, over-communication, or neediness, she loses trust. But if you stay calm, if you stay present, grounded, and unshaken her energy, shifts. That's when she relaxes, when she softens, when she respects you. Because she knows you're not just another emotional boy in a man's body. You're rooted. And women crave that root. They crave the man who can remain still while everything around him shifts. Not because he's cold, but because he's solid. Your strength isn't in your ability to argue or prove a point. It's in your ability to stay in frame. When you react, you hand her the steering wheel. When you stay calm, you drive the interaction. That's emotional leadership. That's why emotional mastery will always beat game, looks, or money. Because when she feels your stillness in the middle of her storm, she starts trusting you in a way that can't be faked. And that trust turns into loyalty, not out of obligation, but out of emotional surrender. She stops fighting for control because she knows you already have it. Most men hear the word detachment and think it means being cold, distant, or uncaring. But real emotional detachment isn't about shutting down. It's about not being ruled by emotion. It's clarity. It's the ability to feel everything without being consumed by anything. When a woman pulls back, most guys react. They spiral, overthink, double text, try to fix what doesn't need fixing. But a man who's emotionally detached doesn't chase energy. He reads it. He doesn't assume distance means disaster. It watches, he waits. He observes that calmness is powerful. Because a woman will test you not always consciously, but biologically. Her nervous system needs to feel your emotional weight, not your money, not your compliments, your presence. And if every time she throws a tantrum or acts distant, you chase, panic, or fold, she learns she can't rely on your stability. But when you remain still, when you stay grounded, even when she's unpredictable, that's when she respects you. That's when she feels safe in your presence. Not because you gave her everything she wanted, but because you didn't flinch. Detachment is what allows you to choose how you show up, rather than reacting to how she's showing up. It's not indifference, it's discipline, and that discipline is rare. That's why women gravitate toward the man who doesn't break under pressure. She wants to feel your strength without having to hear you say a word. And when she realizes she can't shake you, can't guilt you, can't bait you into losing control, she stops trying to play the game, because the game doesn't work on you. Emotional detachment doesn't make you heartless. It makes you dangerous in the best way. Calm, steady, and unmoved. That's the kind of energy women can't help but chase. A woman is a reflection of your energy. It's the truth most men never grasp. If you show up insecure, she reflects that with resistance. If you show up needy, she pulls away. But when you show up grounded, steady, and emotionally centered, she mirrors that too with softness, warmth, and feminine surrender. The reason most men get played isn't because they're bad guys, it's because they build their entire identity around being chosen. They live for her approval, her affection, her attention. So when she withdraws, they fall apart. They beg, they chase. They lose all sense of self trying to hold on to someone who's already slipping away. But the man who is unplayable, the man who holds frames, the one who doesn't need to be chosen to feel like a man, he chooses himself first. His peace, his standards, his path. That's what gives him power. He doesn't tolerate disrespect, doesn't argue over validation, doesn't lose himself in her storms. He stays still, and in that stillness, he becomes magnetic. Women are drawn to what they can't shake. They don't crave a man who reacts. They crave a man who leads. You don't need her to stay. You don't need her to pick you. You need to be so locked into your purpose that her presence is a complement, not your core. That's how you win. That's how you stop getting played. Because now your value isn't tied to her behavior. You become rare. You become irreplaceable. Not because you're the nicest guy, but because your energy is something she can't find anywhere else. She doesn't want to control you. She wants to feel your control. She wants to trust your leadership, not question your emotional stability. When you master that, you stop being an option. You become the one she can't forget.